Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome to a brand new day. I am somewhere here in the middle of North Dakota. I wanted to start a discussion today, hopefully, a lifelong discussion, really, on self enlightenment. And I've been thinking about this for a couple of days now, and I've had a lot of things that have come to my mind. Um, I've been on this journey myself, and I I don't I don't know if I'll ever reach the full enlightenment and freedom that I wish to. Um, I'm aware of it. Having full time bliss and feeling a part of a greater thing at all times. That's It's been a roller coaster, since the day that I woke up and been on this journey. It's I mean the first 3 months that I woke up, I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, the first 3 months, it was just blissful. And like everywhere I looked was beauty, and everything I saw was beauty, and everything I felt was beauty. And I thought that was going to be life, from there on in. And not the case at all. You know, it's been a roller coaster, and anyone that's been through it is recognizes the ups and the downs that come with it, and the highs and the lows. Anyways, just on a look at this. It's almost like, I don't know. I got a friend in Colorado. She might understand what this is. I came across this park here. And, first of all, I want to give a shout out to iOverlander. Whoever created it, thank you. And the people that contribute to it, thank you. Without both sides, we wouldn't be able to find these places. I mean, I'm literally like 5 kilometers, 3 miles or so off of the main road. It's a free campground here. It doesn't have too many things, but when you live off grid and nomadic, it's everything is a blessing, right? So it's got pit toilets. There's a little lake here that I can swim at if I want. It's got some of the pavilions here with the picnic tables have hydro, and then there's this little, like, I don't know if it's like maybe a powwow or a Sundance kind of. I don't know what it is. It looks like a ceremonial kind of thing. There's a little fire pit over there, um, and then there's this. It's just a big circle with some trees and stuff, and then there's a bunch of colored things here on. Anyways, so I'm standing in it. It seems appropriate to be standing in it and continue. So guys, I feel like I want to talk about external and internal, and I feel like I personally have taken care of some of the external things for working towards self enlightenment. Some of those things have been that, things that didn't agree with me, removing some of the toxic things from my life that were external, like, my work environment, my job where I was toxic and negative, and I recognize that. I tried to live with it for a while by doing some internal stuff. I did a lot of internal things, um, but I don't want to jump all over the place. So I'm not sure which one to touch on first. Probably internal. All along I've been thinking about doing this video, and I've been thinking to myself, I got to talk about external first, because those are the big moves that people can make, and then they'll be in a better place, and they'll be able to work on the internal things. But then I've shifted, because I put a little thought into it, and I realized that if you do a lot of internal work, sometimes those external things, before you even remove them, can get better. And I think that's a thing. I'm pretty sure. Like, for example, I've done some internal work where, I've changed my thoughts and my perceptions, and living in the now a little bit more in the present moment, and trying to see the beauty and love in everything, and have positive thoughts, and so when I mean, there's more to it, and it's a practice, and it takes time. But when you work towards internally being at a better place within yourself, then a lot of times the external things, like your relationships, I guess, and work environment, and um, just how you spend your time, with the things that are outside of you, the people in your life, family, friends, coworkers, whatever. You start to see things differently, and you start to enjoy your time there a little bit better, because internally you're in a different place, right? So that's probably the best part to start. It's not like I've taken any notes on this. I don't. I mean, my sister, she's been my savior, so to speak, and she has given me an awful lot of tools and pointed me in the right direction. So, there's all, there's also a ton of tools that I haven't used that she's given me, and I hope to, on this journey of mine now, I hope to have a little bit more time to maybe dive into a few things. And even while I got a lot of driving that I'm doing, so I should be listening to some podcasts and things. I just listened to one just recently, and it was Tony Robbins and his lovely wife Sage, I believe is her name. They were interviewing said guru, and it was karma, consciousness, and freedom, and it kind of just touched on all of those. And to me, those are just three huge things, right? I mean, consciousness is us, we're here, and it's what we are, and you know, and then how karma affects us, and then working towards freedom, which is ultimately what I'm talking about, which is freedom within yourself, right? I believe we're here for a human experience, and that we deserve to have the greatest experience we possibly can, and so it's a long road because there's so many hurdles, there's so many things in our way, right? There's religions, and there's rules, and there's oh my gosh, I don't know, I guess I could go on and on and on, but all the things that have been created that go against us. I don't want to talk all day about it. It's just there's a lot of things in our way, right? To get to real self freedom, and that's the self enlightenment. And so, there's tools out there, guys. I'm like, again, my intentions of doing this video are just to create something like with all of us, like whoever's watching this, even if someone watches this in a year from now, will chime in. Let's keep this going for a lifetime, right? Like let's, I'm hoping to draw in people that have done some work, that have suggestions, my sister would recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. She's involved herself with volunteering. It's a powerful thing going on. Talking about the quantum fields, and just a different place where we can go with our minds, and help ourselves heal, and help ourselves live free, and within ourselves, right? So regardless of the external things. So there's a lot of platforms out there. There's a lot of information that's it's the greatest time. It's the easiest time to get to a great place here, guys, in life. It really is. The information's everywhere. You think about 30 years ago, when we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have the worldwide network that we have now. So it's easier than ever if you want to. I mean, there's going to be people that go through their lives that are just okay and have accepted with just the way things are. They're just okay with going to work for till they're 60, 70, 80 years old, and just grinding away, and then hoping to have a tiny little slice of the pie at the end of it, or whatever. And that's okay if that's if you come to accept that that's just life, and that's the way it is, and you're okay with it, then so be it. I mean, whatever. But I'm just talking to the ones that want more, that recognize that maybe there's more to life, that there's got to be a better quality. There's got to be more happiness. There's got to be more joy. This can't be it. I'm talking to you. Let's make some moves, make some changes. Let's do some work. The work that you're going to do is on your own self. It's for you, so it's worthwhile. I don't even know if I'm halfway. I mean, I've done a lot of external stuff. I've removed relationships from my life. Some family, some friends, some personal, physical, whatever. I've done that. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy, guys. It's difficult. And but I look back now, and it needed to be done. Like, I had to, because I couldn't change I couldn't change the outside, right? Some of the external. It's the things that you can't change, or the things that you need to remove yourself from. So, my work environment wasn't healthy. I tried it. I tried to be a positive person. I remember my boss coming to me and he says, why are you sitting out in your truck 2 or 3 times a week eating your lunch, and I said, and he's like, if you're in the lunchroom, you're such a positive human being, man. He says, we really need you in there to change the morale, and I said, man, I know, I get it. I realize that. But I said, it's not a good balance for me. Like, I can't be in the lunchroom with a negative environment with everybody bitching and complaining 5 days a week or 6 days a week. I can't do it. Like, you got to give me the 2 or 3 days where I don't, because even when I'm not in the lunchroom, I'm still out in the workforce, and it's just the same, if not worse, right? So, I need to balance, and for me to be here and to be positive, I have to balance. So if I need to take an hour or my half-hour lunch or whatever it is, I need to take that time, sitting in my truck and being quiet and to myself 2 or 3 days of the week out of the 5, then I got to do it, man. Like, but you know what? It got to the point where I recognized that I didn't need to do that anymore. Like, I tried to overpower and just be in a great place. I remember the day I started at my job, the 2 guys at the counter there at where I worked, they said they had a little bet going. It was quite comical. They had a little bet going, and they said, all right, I don't know what their bet exactly was, but they said, we're going to see how they made a bet, and just to see how long, Jamie's positivity would last. You know what? I was the same guy the day I left 2 years later, a year and a half later. Like, I maintained that, because that's internal. That's where you go as a person. You choose. How do you want to be, right? Do you want to be a happy, positive, spread love, smiling, cheery kind of person? I mean, I realize there's outside forces that go against us. I know that. But, you can still choose to be where you want to be, right? Inside, up here. So, but I also recognize that, for just an average wage, for that many hours a week, I didn't need to put myself in that balance, trying to balance all the time. I was trying so hard to, balance that negative, and I'm putting myself in that environment and trying to overpower with my positivity. And I was spending so much time. I finally just got to the point where I recognized that I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to do that. And even, for example, where I lived, right? That's a whole nother subject, guys. Like, do you really agree with where you live? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Like me, I like to hike, right? And I was engaging in the area where I was, but it's all private farmland. It's flat. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a guy that wants to go and climb mountains and be challenged, and that's not there, right? So why not go and live somewhere where that is? Like, if you're someone that wants to jump on an ATV every day and ride around, and you live in the middle of New York City, well, that just doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have to, we all have different situations, and this is another thing I wanted to talk about. I find it very honorable. I have some friends that say, well, I've met people that said, well, I got little kids right now, and my time, that what you're doing will come, but I can't do that right now. Or maybe you're taking care of your parents or something like that. Like, I get it. It's not your time, right? It's not, everything is divine timing. So, like I said, I've met people that they've got outside things going on that their responsibility. They're not selfish, so that, they're recognizing that they have an obligation right now to take care of some things or whatever, and that's honorable. It's honorable, and your time will come. And I did that for years too, right? I did that for a long time. I felt like my responsibility was to say, for example, raise my daughter, and I did that, and I stayed in a toxic relationship, but I also wouldn't change it. Yeah, this is a difficult one. I'm not telling you guys to stay in a toxic relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, it worked because there were still so many positive. I don't look at it as a negative in any way, to be honest. I learned so much from it. But I was able to be engaged in all the things that I was engaged in. I was a coach with hockey and baseball and soccer with my daughter's teams for 15 years, and I was involved, and it fueled me, and I was passionate about it. And even in the job that I worked at that entire time, driving a cement truck, it was a very negative environment, extremely negative. And it also, I also wanted to talk about that. I realized that people they get shackled, and they feel stuck and things like that, and work and relationships and all those things, because I recognize it now. I mean, I really recognize it because my eyes are open, and I remember working with guys for the 15 years at a cement company that I worked for, and every day these guys would come into work and they would say, "Oh man, I'm getting out of here. I'm looking for another job, man. This is, it's terrible how they treat us here," and whatever. They weren't happy, right? And bitching and complaining. Well, those same guys bitched and complained for 15 years, and they never went anywhere. Like, they just said it every day. So, I mean, I recognize the stranglehold that things take on us. So, it takes a lot of strength, and it takes a lot of courage, and it just takes a lot of strength and courage, guys, to make big moves in your life for you. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But you know what? The thing is that it does actually get easier. I'll be honest with you. It does. It does get easier when you make some big moves, and you find that inner strength to do these things that you do for yourself. It actually gets easier to make big moves, because it's just like anything. It's just a practice, just like anything else, right? If we practice positive thoughts all the time, we're going to have positive thoughts all the time. If we practice love all the time towards the environment and people that we come in contact with and stuff like that, instead of being miserable and grumpy and not saying hello or anything, then and we change that, then it just becomes easier, right? So it's just like anything at all. It'll become easier. It'll become a practice that gets easier, right? So when we make big moves, as you start to make big moves, you realize it's getting easier. So anyways, that's just something to think about. Like I said, this is all about working towards self-enlightenment. There's some beautiful platforms out there, guys. Get some books. Like, I got some amazing books, and I wanted to mention this too. Books are an interesting thing. They're a timing thing, right? Like, for example, I've had books come my way, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, it's not for me. Like, I'm not registering. It's not sinking in. I don't get it. I read one chapter of 20 pages, and I'm just like, okay, I'm out. And I put it away. And then a year later, for whatever reason, all of a sudden I decide, that book's looking at me. What's that book doing looking at me, right? And I pick it up, and because I have evolved, all of a sudden now I'm reading the same stuff, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay. So don't give up on your books, guys. That's the message here. Keep them, hold on to them, because they came your way. Some of us will resonate with that. I mean, literally, I've had some interesting things happen, how certain books have landed in my lap. It's like, looking down the end of that dark tunnel or something, and you see you know, a little bright light down there, and there's like one book leaning up against the back wall looking at you. And you're like, come on, really? You know, not all of them come my way like that, but that is actually a true story. That actually kind of happened, and had to climb over a bunch of piles of stuff, and it's interesting. Anyways, it's very interesting. So you know, there's a you know, things that come our way are for us. You know, I had a lovely friend of mine the other day, you know, reach out to me, and you know, we got talking, and she said, Jamie, I'm so tired. I am so tired. I work 7 days a week. And she's like, and I'm exhausted. I'm ready to fall over. I don't feel well. I'm just like, and she's like, I'm supposed to go tomorrow to this family reunion, and it's like she had to get on a plane and fly there and whatever, and she's like, I can't get anyone to look after my dog. And she's like, I had a few people lined up, or a couple people or whatever, and now they can't, or they won't. And I was like, hey, oh my gosh, you don't see it? Like, this is, what a gift. What a gift. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, I said, like, you have to see this. You have to see this. This is the universe, you know, gifting you, saying, you know, you're not going to get anybody to watch your dog. You need to rest. Please, you got to take some time for yourself. You're not balancing correctly. Like, you know, I mean, some of us don't recognize it, right? We work ourselves to the bone, but we're not taking care of ourselves. We don't spend time with ourselves, for ourselves, relaxing in peace. You know, some of us meditate and things. Well, you know, I've tried meditation. It doesn't necessarily, well, you know what? I do meditate, but it's not the way you would think. I meditate while I hike.